Am I the a-hole for walking out of the house and staying out for the whole day while family were visiting after my parents brought up my older sister's non-adoption again? My parents are hosting extended family for a couple of weeks. It's my maternal and paternal grandparents, as well as my aunt and uncle on my paternal side. It was going okay until last weekend when my parents brought up a topic of conversation that I, 17 male, am so tired of hearing and being pulled into. So let me explain the non-adoption and why it bugs me. My dad had a kid before he met my mom, my half-sister, 24 female. My dad had primary custody of my half-sister. Her mom was in and out of her life. My parents met when my half-sister was 2 and got married when she was 4. Her mom was in and out of prison, was on and off drugs and alcohol, and she was really disruptive to my half-sister's life and to my parents. She refused to stay away, but refused to be a good mom too. When I was 2 or 3, her mom offered to walk away for good, but only if they removed any chance that she could be sued for child support, etc. My mom was willing to adopt my half-sister. The 3 adults wanted this to happen, but because of my half-sister's age, her wishes held a lot of weight, and she didn't want my mom to adopt me, and it never happened. So her mom kept the back and forth for a few more years before giving up the relationship with my half-sister completely. My parents were so upset that my half-sister rejected having a stable and loving mom and my mom for a woman who even she admitted was so mean to her and didn't take good care of her. But my half-sister never really liked my mom from what I witnessed. It's a really big deal to my parents, and I have grown up hearing about it way more than I need to. They told me details I didn't need to know. When I was too young to be hearing them, they would suck the fun out of things bringing it up. And I know they hold it against my half-sister. They think my sisters, 14 female and 13 female. And I do too, but the lack of closeness has nothing to do with the non-adoption and everything to do with our half-sister not wanting to be close to us. I asked my parents to stop bringing it up around us a few times. They ignored me until they said they got it and would listen. But last weekend my parents brought it up while family was over, and I was so not wanting to hear about it, so I got up in the middle of breakfast and left the house and didn't come back all day. My parents were so mad at me for that. I told them I couldn't listen to them talk about it again, and they couldn't help themselves, but I wasn't going to turn it into a fight to stop them. They told me walking out without permission is bad enough, but when we have family here, it is disrespectful, and they told me I'm old enough to know and do better. This was a sore point the whole week. Am I the a-hole?
The 3 adults wanted this to happen, but because of my half-sister's age, her wishes held a lot of weight. How old was she at the time? Too much math. If the mother and father wanted to terminate the mother's parental rights, it wouldn't have required the step-parent to adopt or the kid's consent. That doesn't make sense. Leaving all of that aside, a 17-yo excusing themselves from a conversation that shouldn't include them and siblings and just plays on repeat is not the a-hole.
She was about 9-10, I think, but I don't know all the exacts because I don't remember it happening. I just remember the aftermath. You can't terminate your parental rights in most U.S. states without someone willing to adopt. They don't want to take chances with people falling into financial issues and not having a recognized person to support, i.e. pay child support for the kid.
She had a parent. You can't terminate to create a legal orphan, true. Your sibling was not going to become a legal orphan. Your parents should ask a real-life lawyer or even r/legal to settle this debate once and for all. Would a 9-10-year-old really have this much control? No, absolutely not. If this is real, everyone messed up.
Not the a-hole. Your parents are beating a dead horse. Your stepsister's not wanting to be adopted. You have told them to stop bringing it up to you. If they want to have the conversation, they need to talk to the person who apparently still is refusing to be adopted. Question: why do they try to drag you into the conversation? You had nothing to do with the non-adoption.
I don't really know, but my theory is They want it to be a big deal for the whole family. And maybe my half-sister will regret her choice and apologize or something.
So, your parents' plan is we are going to turn the family against her, withhold our love from her until she realizes that we're the loving family she once needs. That's just going to drive her away more. Your poor sister has been abandoned by one mother and is being driven away by her father and his wife. And now they're trying to poison you guys against her? You are not the a-hole. Your parents are definitely a-hole, and so is her bio mom.
Not the a-hole. You told them you were tired of this topic and that they should never bring it up in your presence again. But they did. I bet your relatives did also all know about this topic already, since your parents seem to bring it up all the time. So, your parents are the a-holes for bringing up a topic everyone is already tired of, ranting about your half-sister's personal decisions and accusing you of disrespectful behavior for leaving, which at this point was a fully understandable action. Also, I don't know why your actions should be considered as disrespectful if you hung around your extended family for the past weeks. I mean, it's their fault for bringing up this topic again and not yours for enforcing the consequences of their stupid actions. It sounds more like they feel butthurt for you not staying and taking on their side in this story.
Am I the a-hole? My 12-year-old has been mouthing "fuck you" and "you little shit" to me all day with my in-laws present. Am I the a-hole? My husband and I, gay male, are in the process of adopting a 12-year-old son. I think the family dynamics are slowly settling, and I'm seen as the more stricter, i.e., probably overbearing type that tries to provide routine, structure, and safety to my child. My husband does the same, but being an LCSW, he takes a different approach. I do have anxiety and can get flustered easily, which has always been my personal struggle since my teenage years. For the past few weeks, month or two, my son constantly mouths "fuck you" to me all the time with a smirk on his face. My husband is oblivious to these types of boundary pushes, even when I ask him to pay a little more attention. Cut to this weekend. My in-laws are up for the long weekend. We went out to an outdoor festival for the day, and all day my son continues to push my boundaries, refusing to listen, mouthing "fuck you" and "you little shit," and ignoring anything I ask. I tried putting up with it all day until this evening. Originally, I told him bedtime was 8:15 p.m., but then my husband told him he can stay up until 9:15 p.m. without telling me, which is fine and wasn't my frustration. Well, we are all sitting in the living room, and when it's time for my son to go to bed, I keep stating, "Okay, it's bedtime." He ignores me until I repeat myself a few times, and then turns to me and mouth "fuck you" with my husband and in-laws sitting right there. I finally got fed up and yelled, "It's time for bed," and he went off to bed with my husband, tucking him in. My husband is pissed for how I presented myself in front of his parents, but I'm super upset and annoyed at how my son continues to speak to me and was just finally exhausted from it. I took the PS5 away and locked it in my office until I feel he can start straightening himself up. Was I in the wrong? Should I have just taken it until everyone went to bed and just removed the PS5? I feel like I should have done that, but was I the a-hole who flipped out in front of everyone?
I think you and your husband need to talk about a unified plan of action to handle this. Your son is pushing boundaries, as is natural. I would also talk to a therapist who specializes in adoption, because your son could also be testing you to find out if he can push you away. In other words, at what point will you decide not to love him? I wouldn't be surprised if that's in there, though I don't know the circumstances of the adoption or any of that sort of thing. Losing your temper is understandable, but as the parent, you have to try to be the adult. I'm going no a-holes here, because y'all are navigating a difficult situation.
Not the a-hole, but your husband is. You need to pull your husband and son aside when this happens and have a brief chat about what is happening, rather than waiting until the end of the day when you have a meltdown. You and your husband need to agree on the ground rules. What will happen when your son does this the next time? And start having you and your husband tell your son ahead of time, What is going to happen if it happens again? You need to both agree on consequences and tell your son together. Then if it happens again, talk to your husband right away and enforce it together.
I don't know what his situation was before you adopting him, but 12 and an 815 bedtime on the weekend? I mean, at that age, I didn't even have one on a school night. Is he pushing boundaries in response to them being so severe?
Everyone sucks here. The PS5 is unrelated to the behavior and won't improve it. Your husband needs to not undermine you about little things, but you also need to not repeat yourself or be the enforcer. Bedtime. Your husband set the new time, the child knew the time, and so did your husband. The child is testing the limits and your bond, and you adults need to be together on calm consistency. Once your husband changed the bedtime, it was impossible for you to follow through on it, and it was up to your husband. As for the swearing and name-calling to provoke you, this is basic foster to adopt. Ignore the mouthing not because the disrespect doesn't matter, but legitimately because it isn't about you. It's about the reasons he's in foster care, your role in his life, the fact that so much of his life is out of control, and adults in his life can be proven to be untrustworthy. Don't let him split between the adults. But you probably also need to ask for less right now. You can't be the overbearing one. No one needs to be that role. 12 is rough on a good day, to be and to parent. What do you like about your son? Focus a ton on that. Mention that to your husband too, every day. If you're on this path, support one another on it.
What do you think of these stories? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel to see more interesting videos.